Hello everyone, this is Vijay Ram and I hope you all are safe at home. And today's event topic is introduction to GitHub. And here is Yashashwini from Cortex Bangalore, and she is the speaker of today's event. Yeah, let's get started.
Hey, are we live?
Yeah, we are live now.
Cool. Okay. Sure. Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Yashaswini. I work as a software developer for ThoughtWorks. Today, I think I'm with Sujay trying to explain what is Git, what is GitHub, why we even need Git, just the basics of Git and versioning, and some part of open source as well, why we need open source and all that. So let me just share my screen quickly. Hmm. Share option is not working. Let
I
me-
think some of it glitch is here.
It was working earlier.
Yeah, I think it actually works.
So the button is disabled. Share. Can you try sharing?
No, I can't able to share, right?
No, if you try, if you are able to, if you have that
Yeah, wait
option.
a minute. Yeah, it's actually working for me.
Should I quit and join again?
Yeah, okay. Right.
Let me just come back. Back. It is still not working. So the share button itself is disabled for me.
I think you can close the website and reload it.
Okay, let me try that.
Yeah, yeah. Wait a minute, guys. There is actually a website glitch there. You will be like, yeah. Is it working now?
No, somehow it's not working. Wait. No, Sujay, it's not working. I'm even trying from incognito. Have you ever faced this problem before?
Yeah, but audio and video is clear.
Hmm. Or wait, let me try one more thing.
Yeah,
Okay, I think now it's working.
yeah, it's
Cool. Finally. Sorry, people, for the glitch. Uh, so let's begin. It's already late. So introduction to GitHub. So before going to GitHub, I want to quickly explain why do we need Git or GitHub. Even before that, what is the purpose of using these versioning softwares, right? These are basically called versioning softwares. So why do we need versioning as a concept? So let's just see the outline of what we're going to talk about today. We'll just talk about versioning very quickly, why we need it, and what exactly Git means, what it does. We'll try to install Git on our local systems. Please try to follow me if you have a laptop. If you're watching this on a laptop, you can, if you have never installed Git or you have never created a GitHub account, you can follow me through this. We'll also see what is GitHub, what are the differences between Git and GitHub. They are not the same if you were not about it. Git is a software and GitHub is a website. We'll come to that. And we'll also create a GitHub account. We'll see how to use the features of GitHub. And we'll probably see how open source softwares are hosted on GitHub and how we can contribute to them as well, right? Uh, so coming to our first topic, which is versioning. So what is versioning and why do we need versioning? Um, so imagine, forget even a technical scenario, right? Think of a scenario where you are probably a writer or a novelist. You are trying to write a novel or you are trying to write a script for a movie, say, for an example. So you write up your first draft, you write your story completely. Then after a few days, you go through it again and you feel there is a need for a change, that some plot line or something you have to change. Imagine the heroine should not go with a particular hero, but she should go with another hero. So you change that plot line in the story. Now, if you have to go back to the document which you had written, like probably imagine if you had written it in a Word document, and if you have to go and edit it, what you would do, like if you are a smart person, you would take a copy of your older first draft, then create a new copy of this, and you start editing this new copy, right? Because what if in case you want to go back to the previous version, right? You didn't like the new plot line and you still want to go back to the new version, you don't want to rewrite the whole story again. So like this, your code or any piece of material or file or folder that you have, if it is undergoing different stages of versioning, like if you are constantly trying to improve on it, if you are trying to enhance it or add something to it or modify it, you would want to keep track of these changes what you did right from the beginning, right? Because at any point of time you want to roll back or you want to go back to a particular version of your script or your code or whatever, your program, whatever. Now, how do we do this? How do we maintain this versioning? If you start keeping different copies in your local folder, like if I, for example, in my local listing, if I start creating different folders here, I'll end up creating like hundreds of folders, right? I'll be having version one, version two, before this, after this. The naming also becomes very difficult. So it's a very cumbersome task, I would say. It is not very easy to maintain your own versioning in a local file system. So what you can do, it's very easy. So Git helps you with this. Git is what it does. How does it help you is it's just a software which you can download and install on your local system. And by understanding a few basic commands, you can maintain different versions of your code or your files or your documents very easily, right? And it was built to maintain these versions for software. And most of the open source projects around the world use Git for their versioning. And it you don't have to worry about which platform, whichever Unix, Ubuntu, Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever you have, the OS, it works on every platform. Doesn't matter which laptop or which kind of OS you are running. And the best part about it is open source. Git itself is open source and it is also free. So you don't need to pay anything. You can just go to this website, download Git software, install it on your system, and then you can start working on it. So that is about Git. Coming to GitHub. Now, what is GitHub? Git and GitHub are definitely not the same. Git is only a software which can be downloaded from a given place, and you can install it locally in your laptop, in your desktops, systems, local systems. And you can use it even without internet. You can just use it within your system to maintain the versions, different versions of your code or your files. And GitHub is actually a website like any other website like Amazon, Google. It's just a website. It is hosted on the internet. It gives you some space to put the versions of the code that you have. So instead of keeping it in your laptop, there are chances that you might lose it anytime, right? If your laptop crashes or if there is a virus or something, it's better if you want to take a backup. We always put it on online, right? We put it in Google Docs or we put it in Drive, somewhere we put it. So it's better to put it online on the cloud so that it is safe and you won't lose it. So GitHub is one such place. It provides you space to upload your files or your code online and store it safely over there. You can download it whenever you want. You can make any modifications and you can push it back again. The modified version of your code, you can push it back again anytime. So it is making your life easy by having a copy of your code in its own servers. Now coming to Git, let's try and install Git. It's very simple. We'll have to go to this website called git.sem. Okay, it's git-sem.com. If you go here, this is where Git is being maintained. If you go to downloads, you will be able to see the different versions of Git software available. You can download it for whichever version that you are running. If you're running on Windows, you can go here, you'll find an exe file. And if you see, it has already started downloading. Once you download it, you just install it like you would know, you would be doing already. I have it already installed. So let me just open it. So once it is installed, if you go to any command prompt, open your command prompt. In case of Mac, I'm using a terminal. In case of Windows, you can just open your command prompt. So you just go here and you say git. That's it. So you will get the entire help. This is called this is a simple helper thing that comes up on the terminal. You will be able to see all the different git commands from here, and you will know which one you would need. A small description also will be given as to what each command does. So if you can see this, that means that Git is installed on your system and you can start working. So if I want to quickly show you a demo, uh, let's go back. Okay, so let me get into a folder. I hope you can see my screen. Sujay, can you see my screen clearly? Are you there, Sujay?
Yeah, it's visible.
Can you see my screen, the
Yeah,
command
it's
prompt?
yeah, it's visible.
Okay, sure. So we'll quickly go to some folder. Let me check which folder. Right. So I'll just go to my download only. And let me create, this is easier. I've created a folder called GitHub. Let me navigate to it from here. Okay. Okay. So I'm inside a folder. Now I want to let me place some files inside this, like probably, okay, I have some passports. I will put that inside my GitHub folder. I want to maintain different versions. I have, let me add a text file probably. Uh, Let me see if I already have something. I have no text file. Great. Anyways, let me create one quickly. Okay, now I have this text file over here. It's empty. Let me add some content here. I'll say new line. Okay, I'll save this. Now, these two files, I want to, where did this go? Yeah. So now these two files, I want to maintain different versions because imagine this is where this new file.txt is where my code is, and it will be going through different versions as in when I add features to my code. So I want to maintain the versions of this. So what I'll do is you'll have to first create a Git repository, that is by using a command called git init. So what git init does is it creates a empty repository. Repository is nothing but a folder which has all the files which you need versioning for. So one folder to hold all the files which should be versioned. So I'll say git init. Now this has created a empty git repository inside my GitHub folder, right? Now I'll say git status. So when I say git status, it shows me what are the files that are there in my current git repository. So I have two files. Why is it in red color and why is it untracked? Because this has not been added to the repository yet. I'm sure it is there in that folder, but it is not part of the Git repository. That means Git is not currently tracking these files. So once you add these files and commit it, it will start tracking it. And after that, whatever changes that you make to these files will be tracked as different versions. So now if I want to add these, I will say git add dot. Now if I say git status, it is showing in green. That means these are the files that Git is currently identifying that I have added it to the repository. I need to commit this. When I say commit, committing is Git's way of telling that you are creating a version. That means this will be my first version because this is the first time I'm adding these files to the repository. So first time I commit this, it will create the first version. So how I commit is by saying git commit. You'll have to give a commit message. Hyphen M is for message. So I'll say first version. So when I say this, this means that I've successfully added this, the two files, whatever I have, one is a PDF, one is a text, as the first version into my Git repository. And this Git repository is inside my GitHub folder. How do I see that? Is again, I can do git status. So you can see I'm currently on master and there is nothing to commit. That means both my files have been committed to the repository. It is safe with Git now. Now, what do I want to do? I want to change the content of this file. When I change it, instead of new line, or rather I want to add to it, right? I want to add more text to it. I'll say another, sorry, another new line. This is the new version of my code or my script or whatever you want to call it. So whatever document I have, this is a new version of it. Initially, I only had one line. Now I've added other lines. You can kind of relate it to I only had one feature in my software. Now I'm adding another feature to my software. Like you had only upload file. If you have a document management system like Google Drive or something, imagine you only had a feature to upload files. Now you are adding a new feature in your code to delete the uploaded files, right? Now we want to add this and then save it. This will be a new version. This will be the second version. So how do you commit this is you just check your git status again. Git status will be your holy grail command for everything. All the time you can just use it to see what's happening in your git repository, right? So it says this file has been modified, and this modification is still not tracked by git, so it is still in red. Once it is started tracking by git, it will become green. So what I have to do is I have to first add this file and ask by adding, when I say git add command, I'm saying git to identify this change as the second version. So I say git add dot. Dot means it takes everything that is any number of files that has been modified. Now if I say git status, you can see that this has been modified and it has been now tracked by git. So to add this new version to git, I can say git. Before that, I want to show you the git log. So when I say version, this is what is the version. This shows when you say git log, it shows how many times you have changed a particular git repository or how many commits you have made to a git repository. So here I have made one, this is me, I'm the author. I have made one change on Sunday, that is 12th, and the name of the commit was first version, whatever I gave initially. And this is the commit ID. Every commit that I make will be uniquely tracked by a SHA ID, which is this commit ID. This is a unique key. Now I will commit my second version, right? I'll say git commit -m. I'll add second version. Okay. Now if we see git status, we just see git status. There is nothing to commit, everything is clean. So all my changes are currently tracked by git and it is safe. Now if I say git log, I will be able to see two commits. That means first version and second version. If I want to see the difference, there are different ways of seeing the difference between these versions. I can add multiple versions like this. So what it is doing with these versions is it is creating a snapshot, like it is taking a screenshot of the state of the file that was at this point of time. So when I did the first version, it had only, my file had only new line, and it's like Git took a screenshot of the file as is, however it looked at that time. Then I added another line, and the second commit means Git now took a screenshot of the current status of this file, that is with both the lines. And at any point of time, if I want to go to the older version, if I had made a lot of changes and I did not like it, it's now just simple to relate. It is just only one line. I can easily remove this. But imagine if it was a big code or a big text and a lot of changes were there. There is a lot of changes in the previous lines also, which you didn't like. You didn't like the plot that you came up with. So you want to go back to the previous plot of your story. You can just check out this commit ID, that is the commit ID of the first version, and you will be able to easily go back to the first version. No manual effort required, no need to rewrite anything again. It's very simple. You just check out this version. There is a command for that. You can say git checkout, or you can say, I forget, what is that? Git rebase. So you can explore it further, but basics are only this. It is very easy to switch between versions. It is very easy to maintain versions. It is very easy to compare the difference between each versions also. So if you want to see what change exactly that you made with these two, you can quickly download a Git GUI client from here. This will give you, or you can download any of these clients. Many of them are free, and you can also filter it by the platform which we want to use, Windows, Mac, Linux, and whichever free software is there. I prefer GitHub desktop. It's simpler. You can go there, download it. You will be able to see the different versions. So if you see here, this is the history. This is how that tool looks like. And this is the history that has happened on that particular file, that is dropdown.tsx. This is the number of commits. So I only made 2 commits. this person has made these many commits. So these many commits can be tracked, and yeah, you can see green lines. Green means that lines have been added, and there would be red wherever lines have been removed. So you can easily compare the difference between each version and see how it is changed. So this is just a very basic teaser on Git, how to use Git software on your local system. Now, whatever you're doing here in the command line, all this is still in your local system. It is not there anywhere in the cloud. It is not uploaded anywhere. It is still there only in your system. So, in case your system crashes, you will lose all of this, irrespective of whatever versions you had created, whatever commits you had created. You are bound to lose all of this because it is only in your box, in your local box only. So if you want to maintain the same versioning and same kind of commits and logs, you want to maintain it somewhere online so that you can use it whenever you want to. If you buy a new laptop, you can download it on that new laptop from the cloud or from somewhere. Or if you want many people to work on something, if you're working on a project report, or if you are working on an assignment, and you are working as a team of 3 4 people, and continuously all of you are working on creating this project report, or working on a code, or any kind of program or code or project report assignment, anything. So if you want to collaborate and work, right, like 4 people want to work together and edit the same kind of files. When you're working on an assignment, probably you have the same kind of files, same files most of you are working on. So instead of sending these files around on mails and tracking different versions, what you can do is you can use GitHub. So all this, whatever thing you are doing in local system, if you push it to GitHub, all these will go and sit in the cloud, and it will be available for you from wherever. That's the beauty of internet and cloud, right? It is available for you wherever you want. So coming to, let's go to create a GitHub account. Now, why we are creating GitHub account again? To push all these code to cloud so that it is available for us whenever we want and wherever we want as well. Let's go to GitHub. It's just github.com. Just go there. Very simple sign up. Just give your username, email, password, sign up. I already have an account, so I will be signing in. Okay, so this is how it looks like when you sign into the GitHub account. You remember how we created a repository in our local box, like we said git init and created a repository. To create a similar kind of a repository in GitHub, you can easily do it through a UI. It will give you a nice UI. You don't have to remember the commands. You can most of the things that you do can be done through UI. So repository is nothing but a folder which contains the files that you want to track. You can create different folders. Like I've created lots of folders here. You can create a new folder that is a repository. I'll say GitHub intro. Okay, you can choose to keep it public. If it is public, anybody, it is public. Anybody can see. If you want to keep it private, you are not comfortable putting your code online. If you want to keep it private, you can choose private also. And you can give permissions to different users. Whoever wants to work on your project, you can give specific permissions to them. And only they will be able to access. Not everybody on the internet will be able to access. So let me keep it public for now. Ignore these things, it is okay. So now this is my repository. If you see, this is my name slash GitHub intro. And it's the same thing here. This is my repository. This is tracking my changes from now on. Every repository on GitHub will have a unique link to it. This is that link, https github slash the username and the repository name. Now, this is on the internet, this is on the GitHub website, but this is in my local system. How do I connect these two? How do I upload files which I have created here to a repository which I have created on the cloud? How to do it is you can follow these commands on your command line. Very simple. We'll just do a git init again. Let's go to create another folder. I'm calling this GitHub intro, or I'll use the same folder. Why do I need to create another one? So cd GitHub. Okay, let's follow the steps, whatever they are suggesting. We should say git init, git add me. We have already done git init. If you remember, we have already done an add also. We have added our two files. That's interesting. And we have already done our commits. We have already done two commits actually. Now what we have to do is we have to connect our local repository to the Git repository, which is this one. How to connect that is using this command. Git remote add origin. Da, da, da. So I run this. Now if I say git origin, let me see if I can say that. Oh no, git remote. So if I say git remote hyphen v, it will say which is the remote server that it is tracking. Now it's correctly tracking the remote repository that I wanted to track. So now both my local and my the GitHub repository are connected, but there are still no files here. If you see, I don't have any files here because the two files that I had in my local folder, I have not yet pushed it. These two files, I have not yet pushed it to the GitHub repository. Let me not push my passports. Okay, cool. What I will do is I will push the changes. It will ask you to give the username and password, whatever you've used for creating your GitHub account. Let me quickly. Okay. So if you see what is happening here is it is counting how many files that has to be pushed. It is writing all those files to my, or rather all the changes to my remote repository. So my local repository is pushing the changes to remote repository. Super. So it is saying it is currently pushed, and my remote branches is a concept, and branching is a concept in Git. We just create branches to keep the things clean. So now if you see, my passport came. Nice. I didn't want to, but okay. Right. So if you see now both the files which I had in my local have been uploaded here and they are safe. I don't have to worry. Whenever if I ever lose these files in my local, I can always get it from here. Now, if I want to see if you can see that it is already in second version. If I want to see the number of this is actually the file content, and if you see the history of this file, you will be able to see both the versions. So whatever we saw here as git log, the author, the date, and the commit message and the commit ID, the same thing has been copied here. This is the same commit SHA IDs, but in a shortened form. So it is currently tracking all the changes. If you go to first version, you will be able to see only new line. If you go to second version, you will be able to see new line plus another new line, right? So this is how it is taking snapshots of each and every change that is happening on your code, on your program, or your files. Now coming to, so this is about GitHub. You can explore this. You can also edit files here. It has an option to edit files directly here. I can add yet another new line. Oh, okay. And I can give a commit message here. I will say third version, right? It is simpler. You don't have to remember the commands, but always, as a software developer, always go with the command line. It will always help. So commit the changes. Now, what this commit is doing is it created another snapshot of the new change that you added. Probably this is a new feature, and you now have three versions of your same file. Correct. Now let's go back to our slide. So just try to explore. Very simple. It's very straightforward. A lot of the things will be explained by the website itself, or you can refer to some basics like Git basics for Git beginners and all, and you can learn the commands and how to navigate through the website itself is important, right? So once you become familiar with it, it will be simpler. Now coming to open source. So with open source, what is open source? Why we need open source? It's a bigger conversation. But for now, just keep it in mind that what is open source is by making a program open source or a software open source, what you're essentially doing is putting it on the internet for everybody to see and consume. So if you've heard of the Arogya Setu app that we are all using right now during COVID, it was initially not open source. That means nobody could see what code is written. So if you have to install any app whose code you cannot see, that means it kind of scares you, right? Because you don't know what that app is actually doing. It might be collecting some unnecessary information, it might be sneaking into your private data and all that. So to install anything that is not transparent is always not good. And open source means the code was made open to public. And I think you can even now go and see Arogya Setu. I don't know. I never tried. Let's try. Not in this repository. Yeah, so if you see, already people have been using it. I don't know which is the primary one of this. Let me just go to somebody's. Definitely not this. I don't know the exact URL of that. But yeah, you can definitely search it. If they hosted it on GitHub, you will be able to search it and find it. So by making it public, you are making your code more transparent. It is open to people to go through your code and see what exactly you are doing, if you're not doing any fishy stuff and all that. And also one more biggest advantage, right, is anybody can now take that code and build on top of it. Like I had a problem. Imagine I had a problem. I had to write a program to probably multiply two numbers, like a calculator program, for example. I wanted a calculator program, very basic calculator program. And now I know a lot of people would have done it already. So why would I want to do it again, right? If somebody has done it already and is kind enough to host it on GitHub and give it to me for free, I would always love to go and download that code and use it. So that software is open for me, available for me to use it anytime. I can even see what they've written. So I take the basic calculator program. Now I see that there are some changes that I need on it. So for me to make the program customized for my requirements, it's now easy because all the basic stuff has been built by someone already. All I need to do is delete the features whichever I don't want and add the features whichever I want and just make it work. Like if they didn't have a mod function, or if they didn't have a difference or differentiation or integration or anything, some extra things they didn't have. If they had built a very basic calculator function and now I want to add some new features to it, I will be able to add it very easily because they've already done it. I'll be going and adding only the new features. So my time that I had to spend to build a calculator program is now reduced by more than half. I don't even have to start from scratch. All I have to do is I have to build on top of what somebody has already built. And in this way I can utilize it for whatever purpose that I want to utilize it. You can make it your own, you can customize it, you can change the coloring, you can change the styles, you can change the interface, anything you want you can do. But it is already maintained by someone, it is already tested. First thing is, it is already tested thoroughly by the person who already wrote it, so you don't have to worry about a lot of security issues, a lot of bugs and all that. So open source becomes important in that scenario. That is what is meant by making open source. And why it is important is, of course, all the open source softwares are highly have good quality. That means they have lesser number of bugs. I won't say that there are no bugs, definitely there are bugs, but since everybody is contributing around the world, people are contributing to this to these open source softwares, the quality is generally high when compared to enterprise softwares or paid softwares. And innovation, since there are millions of people working on this software, people there are million minds working on it, and they are thinking in different way, they're trying to add new features, so definitely there'll be innovation. And like I said, fast development, like I don't have to build everything from scratch, I can just reuse whatever is there, and my development timeline will reduce very much. And cost, definitely whenever you are reducing time, the cost is also very less, because if you had to spend 1 month building some software, it would cost you how many ever dollars it will cost you. But if the same thing you reuse some open source software which was already available and you built on top of it, you could probably build it in 15 days, and you reduced or you saved that 15 days worth of cost, right? So that's why open sourcing becomes important. As a developer community, as a software community, open source is very important, and it's nice if we can contribute something to the open source community. So how to do it on GitHub? Let's just quickly see if I have any open source. uh, this one, right? So how do you contribute to open source, right? There will be many open source repositories on GitHub. A lot of softwares are hosted on GitHub. Like let's check what are the popular open source. Okay, so Visual Studio Code is hosted on GitHub. Let's see. Let's search for that. So Microsoft's Visual Studio Code is a software. Let me just quickly show you. I think some of you might already know. It's a software that we use for, again, developing software, naturally. So this is the application. It's called Visual Studio Code. You can write a lot of, you can use it for writing any kind of code, basically JavaScript and all we use. But yeah, this is a software. This is an application. Now, the code of this application is hosted on GitHub in this repository, right? This is the repository which is maintained by Microsoft. That's why it's under Microsoft tag. And there are a lot of contributors, around 1,200 people across the world are contributing. Now, contributing doesn't mean they're doing it for money, they are doing it for free, just out of goodwill. So they are contributing and improving or enhancing the features of this software, which is making life of people like me easier. So every time I download a new version of this software or update, I'm getting some new features, which is very good for me. So this is the code. So this is the entire code of this software. Now, if you want to enhance or something on top of it, like if you want to, there are now 5 icons, right? If you see here, there are 5 icons. If you want to add a sixth one, if you want to build a new feature for Visual Studio Code, what do you do? How do you contribute? Simple. You can say, there is fork. I'm not sure where did fork go. Just a second. Fork. So you can fork this. By forking, what I mean is you are taking a copy of the current code of Microsoft's Visual Studio Code under your own name. So if you see, It was initially Microsoft slash VS Code. Now I've forked it and made it under my name. That means I am taking a copy of their code from their repository so that I can start working on it and I can start contributing to it. Because of course this is a centrally maintained repository, they'll not allow me to work on their code. What I have to do is first work on my copy, like I have to write in my notebook, I have to prove that it is right, it is working fine, it is a good feature, and then if they like it, they are going to accept it and make it a part of the original repository. So now we have forked it, you can clone it, you can say a clone. That means it will download all this code into your local. Let's try that, give it a try. Let me create, yes, code. Okay. So I'll say the command is, sorry, git clone and whatever we copied from here. Uh, this is the URL to identify this repository, which I've copied or which I've forked from Microsoft's repository. This is my own copy. I am free to work on it however I want to. I can make any changes and I can host it myself and I can see the changes in my local. Or if I'm interested to again submit my changes to Microsoft, I can also do it. And if they like it, they'll approve it. Or I also have the option of keeping it for myself and using it only for myself in my local, or keeping the changes here and sharing it with my friends so that they can use anything. Anything is possible, right, with open source. If I say git clone VS Code, I'm pretty sure it will be a huge code base, so it will take some time. Let's come back. So once this cloning is complete, cloning is nothing but it is downloading all the code that you see here to my local system so that I can start working on it. I think this is currently in TypeScript. So if you know JavaScript or TypeScript, you can start working on it and you can start building features. Now, I've done a simple one before, I believe. Yeah, this one. So this is a repository matcher core. I have forked it from this public lab. This is the remote person who has hosted it. And if I go and see their repository, in fact, he has also forked it from the other repository. So it's a child of a child kind of a thing, my repository. So what we can do is, if you see, this is the original repository. Imagine this was Visual Studio Code. Now somebody has forked this one and created a own version of Public Lab has forked this one and created their own version or their own copy to work on. Now what I have done is I have forked Public Lab's version. That means imagine Public Lab had added some features. On top of it, I'm adding more features. So it is a second level. There are infinite possibilities with open source this way. You can collaborate at multiple levels. Now imagine I want to make some change. Let me quickly change it here only. Yeah, so this is a file in that matcher core code base, which I see there is a typo. I want to change it. Let me quickly edit here. I will say Processing. Okay. I will commit this. I will give a commit message like fixing typo. Okay, I'm committing this. Now this is changed. The typo is gone. If I go and see the history, I can see fixing typo. This is my commit which I made just now, 10 seconds back. I had also made a commit 3 hours back. This is the older commit. And if you see the history of this file, there are commits that are coming from the original repository, right? Because I forked it from this Rexagod's repository. These are the changes that are flowing from their repository to mine. So the entire history or entire version of that software is being currently tracked in my copy also. So you have all these commits they have made. Now, okay, I'm happy with it. Imagine this typo was there in this Rexagod's repository itself. Imagine it was a bug and I figured it out and I fixed it. Now I want to tell Rexagod that hey, I have like fixed a bug for you. Do you want me to push my changes to you? So how do you do that is go to pull requests. Pull requests are nothing but pushing your changes to the original repository. So you had taken a copy. I had taken a copy from Rexagod to whatever public lab. Now I want to contribute back to public lab. I have done some changes. I want to put it back on public lab's repository because this change, what we saw just now, this fixing typo is currently there only in my under my repository. It is not there in public labs repository because I have taken a copy and I've worked on the copy itself. So if I go and see the same file here, right? So it is taking time to load. Let's check the history. So the history says 18th August 2019. So the last change that was made on this index.html was on 18th August. But I have made two more changes after this 18th of August. And imagine I've given them a new feature. I want them to use my code and add that new feature to their own code. I can raise something called pull request. How that works is just go to your repository, whichever you're working on, go to pull requests. By pull request, what you're doing is you are asking your remote person to take the changes, whatever you have done in your slash matcher core copy to their copy. If you see this arrow, the changes are flowing from this side to this side. That means this is the current repository, this is the base repository. You want to push the changes from here to here. You can push it to public lab, you can push it to Rexagod's original repository because this is the original repository, right? If you want to push it to here, you can just push it there. When you say create, it will also show you how many commits you did, that is how many changes you did, and it will show you what were the changes. That is what I've done is it was initially only this much processing. I have added processing in progress. That is my biggest feature that I've added for them. They are so lucky to have me. So I'll just say create, give a name, say added a new feature, and create the pull request. Okay, now this pull request is created under, if you see the branch or the repository switched to Rexagod's repository. Now there is a pull request under their repository with my name saying Yashaswini wants to merge two commits from my branch to their branch, right? If you go and see, if you go to the pull request, they already have a lot of other pull requests from other people. They might have done some great changes. We'll just open it and see what they have done. No, they've just changed a file, one file. Not bad. I'm also doing good. So this is some simple JSON file that they have changed. So if the people who handle Rexagod repo log in and see their pull requests, they'll be able to see all our pull requests, and then they'll be able to merge their pull requests. Once they merge, what happens is the commits, what you saw in my repository will go and sit here. So they will get all the changes that I have done. So their users, now imagine they had a bigger user base. I had a very small user base, but this people had a bigger user base. They will be able to use my feature. Imagine that a lot of people in the world are now using a feature that was developed by you, or even a small bug fix that you fixed, and a lot of people are using your code. So it's a great pride to have a commit in your name on one of the biggest repositories. Trust me, people take great pride in that, to say that, okay, I've contributed to Microsoft's repository, I've contributed to some open source repository. It's a matter of great pride in the software community itself. So it's important. You can do with smaller commits. You can see open source. You can Google for open source hackathons. You can see what's happening. If there are any, of course, it will be very difficult. It is practically not possible for you to now go and contribute to some bigger repositories like this. You can start with smaller pieces. There are definitely a lot of repositories which support open source contribution. So you can start slowly and then build on top of it, make some comments in your name on different repositories like this, and you can put it on your resumes, you can put it on your bio. It's very interesting actually to be able to do that. Okay, that was all about contributing to open source. I think that's it. I'm done actually. Not bad. I took 1 hour instead of half an hour, but that's okay. Sujay, you have any questions?
Yeah, yeah, there are actually two questions.
Hmm.
One is, what is the difference between Git and SVN?
SVN is another form of version control. Git is a version control, right? Like this has its own commands like git init, git commit, git add. SVN is another format. It's just another software which is being managed by another group of people, and it has its own commands. But Git is the most popular by far. It is used by most of the people, including open source, non-open source. A lot of big tech companies are using Git. SVN is also still used, but relatively lesser. So they both do the same job, but Git is, I would say, distributed. I don't know if SVN is distributed. I need to check the difference, but by far Git is very popular.
Yeah, okay. The second question is, tell about GitHub Students Pack.
GitHub Students Pack. Not sure.
Yeah,
Do you have
it's
any
a,
idea?
yeah, it's actually GitHub Student Developer Pack. It's
Mm-hmm.
particularly for students. There are many tools in that GitHub Developer Student Pack. Student from a school or college or university, they need to submit the ID card of the
Okay.
present year, and it will be verified.
Okay.
I think it will take up to 1 month or 2 months.
Okay.
2 months. After that, the GitHub Developer Student Pack will be activated. I think there are many tools are in Developer Student Pack.
Okay. So it is available for open source for contribution or for you to download and work on it.
It's
Okay.
actually for tools only, particularly.
Great. Okay. So there are many programs like this which are benefiting students. There are some programs run by JetBrains also, which provide you with tools to learn Java, Python, and all that. There are cloud labs that they are available. You don't have to really download softwares, bulky softwares, and mostly enterprise software which are not free, right? There are a lot of community versions available you can download for students, teachers purposes. So yeah, definitely I think most of the companies would be running some sort of student program. So if you can get hold of it, get yourself verified, you should do it, you should go for it.
Yeah, okay, guys, this is the end of the session now, and I will update the next event topic soon. Okay, guys, take care and bye, everyone.
Thanks, Sujay.
Welcome, Yashwant.